A federal appeals court says the University of Maine system can move forward with redoing the sale of the Hutchinson Center in Belfast for now. Tuesday's ruling rejects an appeal from Calvary Chapel, Belfast that aimed to block the sale of the property to Waldo Community Action Partners. The church claimed its initial winning bid for the center was rescinded due to anti-religious bias following public backlash. The university says the reversal was ultimately about previously overlooked cost-saving measures. This latest development in the years-long legal back and forth upholds an earlier decision from a federal judge in Bangor who declined to stop the sale while the underlying lawsuit continues. That initial case surrounding First and 14th Amendment rights returns to a district court.